Cinematic productions are always carried out using high sophisticated equipments like camera dollies, camera cranes and also camera zips. So now we have to first understand how to use these equipment inside Unreal Engine so that in virtual film production we can sync these virtual devices with the actual devices. So for this, in this session we are going to explore camera dolly and camera rigs. I am going to start with the project that we had downloaded in our previous session. If you go to the Patreon link, you have one camera settings.zip and metahumans.zip files. Download it. You can put it in your Unreal project, unzip camera settings.zip metahuman, and inside camera settings content int_vc, place the metahumans folder over here. Now come into Epic Games Launcher and in library, and I am going to now open this project and it is in version 5.6. Double click to launch it. Now once it is launched, I get this message log. I will clear this, close this, and here I will come and click no here. This project opens with module_2 level. So I will come into content drawer and here come into content int_vc and in maps main. Now in this session I am going to select module_7, double click and launch it. So I am going to come into this clapboard icon here, which is the level sequence, and this has already one sequence present in it, module_7. And when I click on this sequence, as soon as I on the sequence, you can see both the characters have the rig applied and they are sitting here. So you can see both the characters are sitting. If you come into the outliner, we have already added 3 cameras. One is to the tray character, one is to the Zeva character, and one is the wide one. And in case of wide one, this wall is blocking, but don't worry, this camera we are going to use it from a different angle, so I am not going to hide that wall as of now. So I will leave this as it is. With shift I will click here and close everything, and then I will again open it, and if I open it again, you have the cameras here. I want to start with a new sequence. So in our previous session you have already understood what is a sequence. So now I am going to come here and I am going to create a new level sequence, but this time instead of add level sequence, I am going to use this add level sequence with shots. So when I click on this add level sequence with shots, now you are going to see this menu. So here the very first thing I have to enter here is the name, and I am going to call this as camera rig shot, and then the suffix for this will be root, and then the base path where this sequence has to be saved. I am going to click here, and in content in int_vc I will come into the sequences folder. I will give the path, and the number of shots I am going to use in this sequence is 5. The master sequence that I am going to use here is this module_7. So if you click here in this list, I am going to type module, and here I am going to select this module_7 as the scene from which all these sequences will be created, and the default duration instead of 5 seconds I will make it 10 seconds, and I will leave all other things as it is, and I am going to click here create level sequence with shots. Now you can see a new sequence has been created, and if you come here you can see now I have this camera rig shots root. I will now come here and I am going to save this. This one sequence is going to create 5 subsequences, and all these subsequences I click save selected. Now if I come into the content drawer, content int_vc and sequences, you can now see here you have one folder called as camera rig shots, and inside the camera rig shot you have one camera shot root sequence, and inside shot you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 folders created, and each folder contains an individual sequence. So we have actually created 6 sequences, 5 short sequences and 1 master sequence. I am going to come back to my sequencer here, and you can see these 5 sequences arranged here one after the other, and we are going to start working with this first sequence here. So, if I select this sequence and if I double click it, you can now see that inside this camera rig shot root, I have now opened shot 10_1 shot. If I press Ctrl and roll the mouse up, this zooms up. Here I am also seeing a warning here, because if you come back to camera rig shot, it is set to 30 frames per second. I will click here and set this to 24 frames per second, and every shot inside, if I open this, both the frame rate should be the same. So, this also I have to set it to 24 frames per second, and here in time I will leave it to show it as seconds. We are going to start working with this very first shot 010_1 shot, and in this I will come over here into cameras here. We are going to add our first camera ray. You have the plus sign here. So, I will come here, open this, and in this list in cinematic, you have one camera rig rail. This is the older version rig rail, and the newer version is cine camera rig rail. We are going to use both of them, but for this example, I am going to use this camera rig rail, and as soon as I click on this, now you can see the rig is added here. Come here and I will increase this size a little. I will press shift and close it and again open this, and here you can see this is the rig that I have added. I am now going to press F2 and I am going to call this as rig underscore, and I am going to give it the name as 1, and I am going to open this int underscore VC5100, right click, and I will create a new subfolder inside this, the 8th folder 08_ camera rigs. If I scroll down, I have my rig here, rig underscore 1, and I want this to be present inside this camera rig. So, I will select this, drag this and put it inside this camera rig. To see how this rig appears, I will press F and move closer, and then you can see this rig is outside our area. In the view, I will come into the top view now. I will press F. So, the rig is here. I will just zoom out and I will drag it, and the very first shot I will zoom it, right click and pan it. I will again zoom this and I will bring this rig, and I will right click and place it here. So, now I want this rig to move across this character. I am going to place the rig here. Okay. So, I am going to bring this rig here, press E, and I am going to rotate it by 90 degree. Okay. Or otherwise I can come here and I can directly enter -90 degree value. So, with this rig 1 selected, I will just move and adjust the position. I will move it a little to the left like this. I want this rig to be till here. See, this rig is made up of 2 vertices. See, this is one vertex, this is one vertex. So, if I select only this vertex, now you can see in rig 1, you will have a new menu appearing here when I select the vertex. So, that is why you should be careful. When I click here, the entire rig is selected now. So, when I am moving, the entire rig will move, but if I click here, only this one vertex is selected, and I will hold this red and move it to the right, and I will extend this rig throughout this length, and then I will click on the rig, and I am now going to come into right view, and then I am going to move and adjust the height. It is not moving because only that vertex is selected. Now, I have to click somewhere outside and again click on the rig, and now if I move it, see the entire rig moves, and I am going to set this rig position somewhere to this height, so that both the characters are covered. If you come into the perspective view, if you rotate and see this rig, so you have the rig placed over here. So, I will just turn it here, right click, then I will press S, I will roll mouse back and reduce the speed. I will press W, slightly increase the speed, and then I am going to turn like this, press Q and move down, and press S and move back, and you can see the rig placed here. I have to put my camera on the rig. I am going to come over here in this int VC, and I will click on the item label. I am going to come into the camera and I am going to select this wide camera. So, I will press Ctrl plus D, make a duplicate copy, press F2, and I am going to call this as cam underscore rig 1. I will right click and I will come to move to, and I am going to move it into this camera rigs folder. If I scroll down now, you can see in this 8th folder, camera rigs, I have cam rig 1 and rig 1. Now, I have to make this cam rig 1 the child of this rig. So, if I just drag it and drop it over here, you can now see camera rig 1 is the child of this rig. And now, to bring the camera above this rig, you come into the transform window here, and here just reset the location. Then immediately you can see the camera has moved here, and reset the rotation. So, the rotation is also changed. Now, I will come into the top view here. See, I will just zoom here and you can see this camera and the rig. I will just move it a little like this. When you are making this kind of adjustment, and if other objects are blocking it, then I will press shift and select this rig and this camera, then right click, and here you have a menu visibility, and here I will come and choose the option show only selected. When I click on this option, except these two, all other objects are now hidden. So, I will select this and I am now come here and rotate it along the Z axis by around 90 degree. Then I am going to select this and I am going to move it and place it above here. So, to freely move it, I will switch off this snapping, and now I will move and place it over here. Then I am going to come into my right view and I am going to lift it and place it to the top like this. I will come into the perspective view and I will come here, and instead of lit, if you come into unlit, now you can just see this is the rig and the camera is placed over here. To unhide all other things, I can either right click, go to visibility and click on show all, or I can just click on Ctrl plus H. You can see all other objects are now visible, and I will come over here and instead of unlit, I will choose the lit option so that I see the real setup here. I am going to select my rig 1, and if you come here, you have one option current position on rail. And now you can see the camera image preview is appearing here, and if I move it, you can see how the camera is moving from one end to the other end. So, when it is 1, it will be on the right hand side, and when it is 0, it will be on the other side. Come in here, I will select this cam underscore rig 1, and I am slightly making the camera wide. If you come into the camera settings here, you can see the current focal length is set to 40 mm. I am going to make it 20 mm, and I am going to make it a little wider. I want this to be animated from here to here. Come into my sequencer here. See, if this view is disturbing, I can come into this perspective view over here and I will choose default viewport. So, using the default viewport, I am in the sequencer and I have to now add this rig and the camera into my sequence. Now, in my sequence already I have a character. I have a folder called camera, and in that you have a folder called crane. So, right now I doesn't want this folder crane. So, I will right click it and I am going to delete it. This sticks also is not required. I will select it and delete it. Now, I am going to come over here, select this rig 1 and I am going to drag it into my cameras folder. And then I am also going to open this and select this camera underscore rig 1 also and drag it into my camera folder. So now I have this camera enabled and you can see that I have the camera rig 1 here and rig 1 here. So I will drag and put this rig 1 above this, and now in this rig 1, as of now you are not seeing any animatable properties, but what we can do is, so with rig 1 selected, I will come to current position of rail, and next to this you see this rhombus shape, click on this. So as soon as I click on that, you can see this is added into our sequence and the current position is set to 0. Now this is the time where my head is. Remember, when you add this keyframe, the head should be at 0. At 0, I have added a sequence. By chance, if you have added somewhere else, you can select it, delete it, bringing the playhead to 0, click here to add a keyframe. Then I am going to move this to 10 seconds, and at 10 seconds I will set this current position on rail. I will drag it and set it to 1. So it is set to 1 and I will come here and I am now going to add a key. So if I click here, a keyframe is added, and now if I move it, you can see this animation is created. So now in this sequence, now I am going to move up and I am going to enable camera cuts here at 0 position. I will bring it to 0 and here I will click and I am going to add this sequence cam rig 1 as the shot here. So as soon as I add this, now if I play it, you can see the smooth motion of this trolley moving from left to right. If I come back to my main sequence, we have made our first rig shot ready here. So if I just rewind it and play it, so our first rig shot is now ready. So then I will stop this, come here and click on the save button, and it is asking to save both the sequences. Click save selected. Very good, we have added one rig and we have animated the camera. Now let us move into our second shot, that is the shot 0020_01. I will double click to open this. So I am inside this shot now and I will press Ctrl and roll the mouse up to zoom in this sequence. Later on I will come into the camera rigs here, and we had used the rig 1 before. I will select this rig and press Ctrl D to duplicate. I am going to come here into the top view. I am going to select the vertex here and I am going to move this closer to these two actors here, and I am going to select the other rig here and I am going to drag it and place it somewhere here. So I will now come into my left or right view. I will choose right view. Now this rig will not run straight. I want this to run slant and in a curvy way. So I can select this first point, drag it and keep it somewhere here. If I want to add a third point, press Alt on your keyboard and drag and pull, and you got a third vertex over here. And I am going to select this third vertex and I am going to move this to the top like this. See, the first, this will be the end point here, and this one I will place somewhere here, and I can even set this angle. I can select this, rotate and adjust the angle. See, I can even come in the center, move it, and I am slightly making it curvy, and final destination, this is going to come here. I am just going to select this and make it straight like this. I will also come into the top view. So, this has moved to the left. Okay. So, I will just move it straight like this, and I am going to click this and adjust it and make it straight like this, and even here I will select this. There will be two handles. By moving the handles, I can adjust it. I will select this and move the handle, and I will adjust it like this. So, then I will come into my perspective view, and if you see now, I will just zoom in, right click, turn, right click, press S, move out, and I will move out. I will press A to move in. So, now I have put up a rig in a way the camera moves from here and comes down till here. I want the camera to be attached to this, and for this again I am going to come to that camera. I am going to open the camera and I will select this wide camera, and I am going to press Ctrl D to duplicate it, and I am now going to right click, choose move to, and I am going to move it to the folder camera rigs, 8 camera rigs. And once I move it, I will just close this, come into the camera rig, and I am going to select this camera, press F2, and I am going to call this as camera underscore rig 2, and I am going to drag this camera underscore rig 2, make it the child of the second rig here, and then I will come into my transform, and once I set my location to 0, you can see the camera has moved here, and rotation also I will set it to 0. I am now again going to come into the top view. I will just move in, I select this camera, and in the rotation along the Z, I will rotate it by 90 degree, come into, so I will just drag it and place it above. I have placed it on my dolly. Now, I will come back to my rig 2, and you can see the shot that you are seeing here, and coming into the current position, I am now going to move it like this, and as I move, you can see how the shot is moving. See, as I move this, you can see how the shot is moving. So, now I will bring it to 0, and here I want this to be a still wider camera. So, I will select cam underscore rig 2, move down, and here I am going to set its focal length. It is 40. I will set it to 15 mm, and I have to slightly drag it back. So, for that I am going to select rig 2 here. I will just right click and drag it up, and I am going to select this point, and I will slightly move it back so that both are covered like this. This will be my starting point, and if I come back to my rig 2 and if I move up, I will deselect everything and select only the rig now. Now, coming here, if I change the rail, see, this is going to move like this and go up like this. See, it is going to move from this fan to this shape like this. Just like last time, now I am going to open this camera, select this crane folder, right click, and I will delete it. I will also select the sticks folder and delete it. Now, from here I will select rig 2 and drag it into my camera folder. Then I will also select this cam underscore rig 2 also, and I will drag it into the camera folder. And I am now going to see, this is on automatically. Now, here I am now going to drag this rig above and place it like this. So, temporarily I will off it and on it again, so that the lighting is correctly adjusted. Now, I am going to come to frame number 0, and at frame number 0 I am going to select my rig 2 and come over here, and in the current position of rail I will set it to 0, and at 0 I am now going to add a keyframe. So, you can see the keyframe is added at 0. Then I will go to 10 seconds, and at 10 seconds I will set the value here to 10, and again I will click here to add a keyframe. So, now if I just rewind this and if I play it, you can now see how the shot in 10 seconds move from here and slowly goes to the top. I want this fan to be avoided a little. So, I will select rig 2 and then I will now eject and come out of the camera. I will come into the right view now. So, here I will select this point and I will slightly move it down like this. Okay, this is the right point, and I will also select this and move it down a little like this. Then I select this and move it a little and adjust the angle, so that it starts from this fan angle. So, now perspective here and here I will come and enable the camera. I will rewind and now I will play it, and you can now see how the shot is moving. So, it slowly moves up. As the camera is moving here, I want this camera to be always focused here. Both the focus should be here and the camera angle also should be focused to here. So, as I move slightly, the camera is moving to the top. I want to tilt it down. We are going to make use of a helper actor. We had used it in our previous session also. I will come into this add button here, and in basic I am going to create a simple actor, and this actor has been added here. I will now press F2 and I am going to call this as rig2 underscore tracker, and then I am going to select this rig2 tracker and put it into this folder camera rigs. Later I will eject out of this camera here and come into the top view. I have selected this, I will just zoom out, see this is here, and I will drag it. By chance if these things are not visible, press G again, so that all these objects are visible. In game view this will not be visible. So, right click and move here. I am going to bring this and place it in between these two actors right here, and then I am also going to come into front view or the right view here, and I am just going to drag it and bring it over the table at this point. Once I have added this rig2 tracker, I am now going to select my cam underscore rig2, and then I am going to come here, and you have one setting here, looker tracking setting. Open this looker tracking setting and you have to enable this looker tracking setting, and once I enable it, you have one option actor to track, and in this actor to track, click on the list here and select rig2 underscore tracker, which we created now. So, now you can see the camera is tilted down, and as I move this, I will come back into the camera view again, and as I move, now you can see the camera is always at that position, and also I want the camera also to be focused to this plane. Okay. So, for that I will, with this cam rig2 selected, I will close this and move down. I will come into this focus setting, and here in the focus method this is already set to tracking, and in the actor to track, because the focus is continuously adjusted to Zeva, even if we doesn't adjust this, the focus will be good. But however, since we have created the tracker, I can click here and come here and select rig2 underscore tracker, select this, and so the focus of this camera will also be here only. Now, if I just rewind it and play it, you can now see that it starts from that point and the camera is always centered to my tracker. I will rewind it, and finally in second shot also, in camera cuts I will click here, and in the sequence I am going to use camera rig2 and I will enable this. Then I am going to come back to my camera rig shots root, and now if you rewind and play it, see our 20-second shot is now ready. We have made two shots ready. One is this shot moving from left to right like this, and then we have the second shot, see, moving from here and slowly moving to the top, and we have used our simple camera rig to achieve it. So, now I will come into File, choose Save All. I am going to conclude this session, and in this session you have just explored how to use nested sequences by making use of new sequence with shots, and also we have explored how we can use this simple camera rig. In our next session, we are going to explore another type of rig called as the cine camera rig rail, and we will explore it in our next session.